thanks very much for joining me. In this brief clip, we're going to take a look at relationships and the way that they are impacted on by the stage at which the team is at in terms of its development and how that affects individuals. I think it's well worth stating that relationships within teams, there needs to be some sort of dialogue about what it looks and sounds like when it's good and what it looks and sounds like when it's not so good, and leadership needs to be brave in challenging those assumptions. Okay, with the forming stage here, I'm going to suggest that we have all been there, whether we've been part of a supervisory leadership management role or in another role within that team, where we're actually looking over our shoulder, we're not giving too much of ourselves away, we're distant with people. What are we doing? We're checking them out and they're checking us out. Right, having got that one out of the way, there's a role for leadership here, and the first thing to do, I think, is do nothing. Let it happen. You'll know that all people are really trying to do here is to just locate themselves in their new team. Leaders just need to let that happen. We can't let it happen too long. What we're in danger of witnessing now is the forming of cliques within a team, and it really isn't healthy. And it will detract from your overall team performance because they take away trust. So for leaders, managers, supervisors, you have to do something to take it towards a storming stage, and that is really about putting your ideas out, about your role, your purpose, your expectations, in the context, I think, of the values, the beliefs, the ethics, and the expected behaviour of why we're here anyway. What are we about? And as we're doing that, we can establish the criteria that says, this is how we talk about stuff in our team. And for leaders, and we can look at this a little later, we might find ourselves being quite directive at this point. Don't worry about it. What you're actually doing is almost setting the thermostat for the level of discussion, of challenge, and it's not whether it takes place, it's how it takes place at the storming stage. So we can get into some quite well understood stuff, challenge the idea, support the person. Well, if that's what we want, then we need to say that. We need to be very clear about that we are here to deliver some outputs. That's the important thing, and it's about how we as a team can function best together in order to deliver those outputs. And to do that, it's important that our team relationship is a good and healthy one. That's not about agreeing all the time. It's not about having highly structured a format in which we don't overstep our own boundaries. It's about creating, if you like, that robust flexibility where we can express to each other what it is we expect of each other, what we want of each other, how we are prepared to have each other's backs. And it's absolutely vital, just remember that as we go through it, have each other's backs. And also in terms of our team relationships, how we're prepared to nudge each other, how we're actually sort of prepared to extend that hand and say, if I were you, I'd be thinking about looking at it a slightly different way, rather than always using maybe official channels. It's been brought to my attention, memos or emails, they're just awful, particularly if we don't need them. It should be stuff that we can talk through. What I've actually done there is to talk you through the norming stage, to take you through the processing stage into the performing one, where we have synergist relationships going on. What do I mean by that? Well, they are the relationships that are built out of the confidence of working with each other, of understanding each other, of having some good working protocols in place. But when we move to a performing relationship, the synergy is that 2 and 2 equals more than 4. That relationship is actually bringing more into the team than just the delivery of the individual roles. So it's an enriching process that enables us to take a look at not only improving our outputs, but improving the state of communication within the team, the quality of outputs, and also the quality of productive relationships with each other that make our working lives far more comfortable in that we are ready to accept challenge from trusted people and for good reason. So what we've got is leaders, managers, supervisors taking an active role in developing the relationship capacity within the team. And to do that, we need to be able to establish some clear boundaries in which those relationships take place. We need to be able to make it very clear what is acceptable and what's not acceptable. We need to emphasise that the direction of travel we're going here is one where the relationships are supportive and synergist. As I've often asked before, think of your own personal case study when you've been in a team where the relationships weren't good, and you need to ask yourself, is that something that you want to experience again? Or if you're at the receiving end of that, do you really want to come into work every day and experience that very destructive and quite toxic relationship when it's something that actually can be changed? It takes a bit of bravery, a bit of commitment, and sticking at it until we've gained in confidence. So thank you and good luck.